Hey, this is the Hollywood Group. We are with EDM 310 at the University of South Alabama. My name is Savannah Moore.
I'm Jamie Lyle.
I'm Anisha Lewis.
And I'm Emily Thomas.
And this is our video book commentary.
Students in our classrooms are changing, largely as a result of their outside-of-school experiences with technology, and are no longer satisfied with an education that does not immediately address the real world in which they live. In our textbook, Teaching Digital Natives by Mark Prensky, he gives several reasons of what students want, what they want to accomplish when they're in school, and why they are no longer satisfied with education because they're not being given real-world experiences while they're in school.
Most students don't want to be lectured to. That's one thing that he says in the book. And knowing this personally, I learn better when it's more hands-on and I can apply it to a real-life situation. Like, if you tell me 2 + 2 = 4, I'm going to question that. But if you actually show it to me with, like, 2 pieces of candy and 2 other pieces of candy, that make 4, I would better understand it. And I feel like a lot of students learn better that way. They're more hands-on, more visual learners than you just telling them, hey, this is how it is, this is how it's going to be, and you just need to accept it.
That, and a lot of students get bored with just having a student, or a teacher, not a student, in front of them, just sitting there lecturing to them and then having to take notes. And most of the time, even in a high school classroom, whether it's a kindergarten, middle school, high school, college classroom, you see all kinds of people that are just sitting there falling asleep on the front row because they don't want to be lectured to. They want to be involved with what they're learning.
Yeah.
And with this new technology, they're actually being involved. They're actually given something to do. Even if they don't necessarily enjoy it, they're doing something instead of just sitting there.
And it's easier to understand that way. Like, you put 2 and 2 together in your brain that, hey, this concept that I've learned in school can be applied to what I have to do every day.
Also, we found in the book that Prensky says that they want to follow their own interests and passions. I believe that students, if they find something outside of school that they're really interested in, they're going to use the technology to research and find more about it and get involved.
That, and if they're using that kind of stuff at home, for instance, like an iPad, if they're using it in school but they're also used to playing games on it at home, even if it's not an iPad, it's a smartphone, taking their parent's smartphone and playing a game on it, they can still apply what they've learned at home to being able to work the technology that they're using in school, and it keeps their attention because that's what they do at home to have fun too.
Also, if we incorporate or ask the students see what they're passionate about and try to incorporate that into the learning style, maybe if students are interested in sports or football or whatever, you could take them outside and get them to learn like addition or whatever, using sports or just anything that they're interested in.
Yeah, and that goes with them not wanting to be lectured to. If they're
Right.
actually engaged in it and they're actually interested in it, like with their interests and passions, then they're not bored. They're
Yeah.
actually paying attention. They'll comprehend it better if they're actually engaged in what they're learning.
Mm-hmm. And then with their passions, like if you like one subject better than the other, you're going to sit there and listen to one subject over the other one. I've done that in multiple classes because I'd be so bored. It's like,
I think we all do that.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that there has been at least once a year that I wake up and I'm just drooling on myself because I'm so bored. But most classrooms, like the college classrooms, they don't think about this kind of stuff. They don't think about engaging their students, and that's why we have such a high dropout rate and things like that now, because school isn't fun. They're not making it fun. They're not making it interesting.
You just sit there and listen, and that's it.
Yeah, and it seems like whenever you get further on into what you want to do, because the first year, 2 years, you're doing the basic classes, and you're literally sitting there in a class listening to a lecture. I mean, I remember my first year, all we did was sit there and listen to teachers talk. That was all we did for class. And
like
now,
Dr. Strange says with the Burtback stuff, that's literally all we're doing, where they teach us something, we're sitting there listening to them lecture, and then we burp
take
it right
it,
back
yep.
onto a test.
Right.
Literally throwing it up onto a piece of paper.
And then that's one thing, too, is, you have to sit there and go through lectures in the first couple of years, but whenever, like with nursing school, I know once you get those basic classes out, you get into nursing school, and that's whenever you actually do
Hands-on.
clinicals, do everything hands-on, teaching. You know, now that we're actually getting into the education classes, we're actually
Going
doing
into
something.
schools.
That and there's a lot of
Yeah.
subjects you can't do without being able to actually physically do it with your hands. Like you can't learn nursing without actually sitting there at a clinical next to somebody that's in a
Giving
hospital
people
bed,
shots.
giving them an IV, giving them
Right.
shots, stuff like that. You can't. If you're sitting there, somebody like in that video that we watched for one of our other projects where he was trying to teach dancing, and he was doing it through a slideshow.
Mr.
Yeah.
Daniel.
Yeah, Mr. Dance a lot.
Mhm.
He was trying to teach dancing through a slideshow. You can't do that. I mean, you can show pictures of the steps and all of that, but unless you're physically doing it,
You're not gonna
you're
get
not
it.
going to learn it.
Right.
And
Exactly.
that's the same way with younger students. If they're not actually doing it and applying it, like with the Shapes project, if they learn this is a circle, this is a triangle, all of that at school, then they go home and they say, oh, that can of green beans is a circle. That bowl is a circle. That block of cheese is a square. Then they actually are applying what they're learning to real life situations, and they actually know that they're learning something, that they can actually use that.
And I think with younger kids, teachers have to, I think, more require them, give them, okay, we're going to go home, take it home, and show the shapes. Instead of like just learning in class and that's it. Let's do it on past just the classroom, take it home so they can be involved and enjoy learning.
Yeah, so
outside
I think
of
a
the
lot of
classroom.
the statement making with this quote that we got out of the textbook is that they're getting bored and no longer satisfied with education that doesn't address real life situations, because there are certain things that you learn, like with math class. There's all these math classes that we've been made to take, and certain careers we don't think we'll ever use it. And so we're sitting there and we're like, I'm never going to use this in my life. Why
Right.
do I have to learn it? All of that. And they don't actually grasp our attention and say, you'll use this because. They just
Yeah.
say, this is what you need to learn. You're going to learn it.
Exactly.
They
Like
don't.
teachers just say, you ask them, well, when am I going to use this? And they're all like, well, you're going to use it.
Eventually you will
eventually
use
you're
it.
going to use
Yeah.
it. Well, half
And
the
that
time
eventually never comes.
exactly. Half the time you never use it.
Right.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
It's just, a lot of the times it's just pointless. Like, what's the point of paying, $5,000 for 5 classes that
Yeah.
I'm not going to use for the rest of my
And
life?
if you actually apply it to real life situations, then the students realize, okay, I really do need to pay attention to this because I really am
Because
going
I'm
to use
going
it.
to
Yeah.
use it. Yeah.
Even if I don't use it a whole lot or use it every day, I'm going to use it eventually, and I need to know how to do it.
Exactly. That's like with, like doing interest rates and stuff for your house, like for your mortgage and stuff. You're not going to use that very often, but I mean, you're going to use it when you buy a house, you're going to use it when you buy a car. If you are going to, make payments on something, you're going to use it. And so it's one of those things that a lot of people, I didn't even realize, like, I knew how to do it, but I really didn't until this semester, and I was like, crap, I need to know how to do that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of students don't actually realize, okay, I need to pay attention to this, because the teacher doesn't emphasize that,
Yeah.
look, you're going to use this. You have to know how to do this.
Yeah.
They just learn it to get through the class. And
Exactly.
then they get to the point where they need to do their taxes, or they need to, they're buying a house or buying a car and stuff like that, and then they realize, oh, hey, I should have listened to such and such and such and such math class,
Yeah.
because, I kind of need that.
Yeah, and if the teacher was in the, at first said, hey, this is when you're going to use it, instead of just saying, yes, you're going to use it, like, if they give specifics of when they're going to use it, students are more likely to pay attention.
Well, I think that's the same with my job. I mean, measuring out, knowing the different measurements, knowing that it's 3 feet in a yard. I never thought I would need to know that because I wasn't planning on measuring out stuff. But at work, I mean, I know it off the top of my head. I know the decimal for all of it, and it does come in handy.
Another reason that Prinsky gives in his book is that students want to make decisions and share the control. And if they're using technology in the classroom, they don't have a teacher standing over them telling them, do this, do that, this is what you're supposed to do. They actually feel like they're accomplishing something and doing it themselves because they're sitting at a computer, clicking on things on their own, and actually accomplishing something. And I think that manner of teaching actually gets to the students more because they feel that accomplishment. They actually know that they did something instead of just sitting there drooling, staring at a teacher going, okay, I learned this. What am I going to do with it?
Also, with the just knowing that they did it, like, I feel, if you do something, you do it yourself, you're going to remember it easier than someone giving you the answer to it. So instead of the teacher sitting out saying, okay, these are the answers, memorize this is going to be on the test, the students go search for the information, and I think it's easy. They remember, like, how how to work a certain program. So when we come back in, instead of somebody telling me step by step, okay, click this, you go figure it out on your own, and then next time you know how to do it, and you can help someone else because you taught yourself basically.
Yeah, and that point also goes with another one that's mentioned in the book, that students want to create using tools of their time. Classes now, they're using the iPads in it. And, they're already using it outside of the classroom at home. They're playing games. Now you can even, there's apps like Netflix, and you can go on there and watch movies, shows, and
Blending school with home is making things 10 times easier for teachers and actually accomplishing things in school that weren't happening before, because there's a lot of things that, like just sitting with a pencil and paper, you don't realize that you're actually going to use that, but when you're sitting with technology that you use at home too, you're actually blending the two together and accomplishing something.
I hope you have enjoyed our book video
Commentary.
book commentary. And we hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you.